I'm wearing a Scarface t-shirt to a Marvel movie review. I'm edgy like that. Hello, I'm Mitchell Ryan Darcy, and today, well, not today, tomorrow morning, I'm going to be leaving early to take a trip all the way to Toronto to watch Thor Ragnarok in IMAX 3D. This is the Marvel film I felt there's the longest period of time that I've been waiting for. Like, I would be lying if I said I wasn't a bit excited because I've been waiting for this ever since 4 2. Because it posed the biggest questions in the universe for the Marvel universe. And at the end of 4 2, we got a really good, I think, sort of cliffhanger. I don't think it was literally the ending shot, I think, of the movie. It's been a while since I've seen it. But it turns out, well, the thing is, we already knew Loki was still alive. What we didn't know was that he took the place of Odin. So, what the hell happened to Odin? And why is Loki taking the place of him? Because I'm caught up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. all the way to past season 2. So, the first half of season 3. And there was one sort of episode in season 2, I believe. That girl that was from 4 came down and was fighting or chasing after this one of the blue aliens or whatever. I forget what it was, that whole event or whatever. But she said something very important in that episode, was that Odin wanted this person. And I'm like, yes, I need to know what happened, because that means Loki wanted this person captured. Why does Loki want that person? I don't know. I have no idea what to expect with For Free, except I heard critics love it, audiences love it. So I will say I am going into it with high expectations because of this. And also, I've been hearing everywhere that it's almost like Guardians of the Galaxy style. Like, they totally went all out with the humor and all that. And it's like, just hearing about it, I'm like, why? When you see the advertisements and that, because I've only seen the original trailer or the little mini episodes or whatever where it's like what happened to Thor during Civil War, and you see him with a roommate in I think in the UK or something, and it's like a whole, almost like a comedy sketch type thing where it's like he's with a roommate on Earth. A part of me wants to take it seriously, as in this is part of the cinematic universe, or a part of me is like, maybe this is not canon, maybe this is just a throwaway gag just to advertise for the movie. When they released the poster, what the poster looks like for free, I knew right away. I'm like, damn it, everything about it just screams, okay, Guardians of the Galaxy was really popular, let's make For Free more like Guardians of the Galaxy. And I kind of dislike that, because I did like 4 1 and 2, and don't get me wrong, they both had humor. They both had moments where it's like, where it's outright absurd comedy, the fish out of the water. But this time we're talking about gods and people dressed up like it's, I don't know, medieval times or whatever. It has its comedy. It has its absurd comedy to it. It's like, why do you need to make the movie more total focus be a comedy? So I'm hoping there's a right balance. I hope it's not just all out spoof comedy. I hope it's a little more. I hope they continue the trend of it being serious with some comedy and all that. From what I hear, production wise, a lot of people, production wise, like the director in that, was describing it as like a buddy cop movie but in space with the Hulk and Thor. And so I kind of know they're gonna team up at some point in the movie. And I've seen, not only did I see the roommate little trailer teasers, but then I also saw the first official trailer for it, which is the only trailer I need to see. Looks really good, but I'm trying to figure out why they're marketing, like, look at the font for Ragnarok, and it looks like it's an 80s video game sort of joke type thing. Like, why is it in that style? Like, I'm like, it's little things like that that's bugging me about Thor Ragnarok. Because what I was expecting overall, because this is just, once again, I haven't seen the movie yet. I'm expecting for it to be after 4 2. I was like, 4 3 is gonna be when they announced the title for Ragnarok. I heard, and it's like Ragnarok is supposed to be like almost like the death of Superman, but for Thor. I mean, I don't know if it actually kills him, but it's like that level of event for Thor side of comics. That's what I heard. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm under the impression this is supposed to be dark, end of the world. This is the climactic third movie for Thor. So that's what I was expecting, but all the advertisements, the posters, everything, and just hearing critics and audiences, yeah, they're enjoying the movie and they love it and it's comedy and it's hilarious and it's Guardians of the Galaxy, but it's like, I kind of wanted to keep the Guardians of the Galaxy section to the Guardians of the Galaxy section. So tomorrow, it's time to head off to go see For Free.
It's main event time.
Ladies and gentlemen, Thor Ragnarok versus Mitchell and Darcy.
The things I do for YouTube. I was going to say it was the best Marvel movie I've seen all year, but now that I think about it, it's technically the best superhero movie I've seen all year. That's what I originally thought, but then again I remembered all of a sudden. Totally forgot Logan came out this year. So, Thor Ragnarok is the best Marvel Cinematic Universe movie released this year. The only reason I would put it above Guardians 2 and Homecoming is because of how drastically different and out there this movie was when compared to the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Thor Ragnarok, if I'm even saying that name right, is it goes back and forth tonally between comedy and drama. It's like full comedy, and then all of a sudden it's like all out serious, and then back to extreme comedy again. Like it's back and forth, and it's so extreme on both sides. It's just a bit distracting, especially the fact there's some seriously good serious moments, like absolute like dark and serious, and it's like it's surrounded by jokes. It's annoying because I enjoyed it for what it was. It was so bold and inventive, but it's just I sort of loved it, just how crazy it was, but I sort of also hated it for doing that, especially the fact that this is supposed to be the third one of the trilogy for Thor, and the first two is nothing like the third one. Some of the comedy was actually pretty good, but then other times they really tried to take it too far, comedy. Like, they weren't crossing a line or anything, it's just they were trying too hard to be funny. Kind of like I am. It was really, some of the jokes felt really forced, and even the editing jokes, it didn't feel natural. It just felt like it was sort of forced into there. Most of the major jokes were predictable. I'll get into that in the spoiler section of my review. I'm sure there are some fans that dislike this movie for how it went about doing things, but unfortunately, with the comedy fun aspects of the film, I'm sure it gained a lot more fans than it lost. It also goes to show you can't please everyone. If Thor Ragnarok was a completely serious action drama, I'm sure a lot of people would have said all the humor and lighthearted stuff has now left the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and when complained, I wish it was a little more funny and all that. The thing is, with doing the movie as well as they did, they're playing with the fact that for every dark thing we put in the movie, we need something funnier or comic relief that overshoots that seriousness. And going back and forth between that, it's like you're playing tennis on screen with the tone of the movie, and it's a little bit hilarious to watch and all that. But I want to praise it, and at the same time I want to hate it. It annoys me. So anyways, that's as best as I can do review wise without spoiling certain aspects in that. So if you haven't seen Thor, I'm pretty sure everyone who's watching my review has already seen Thor, but just in case, from here on out, it's spoiler warning. So the jokes were predictable. Now, to me, they were predictable. I don't know if they were predictable to you guys, the average audience member, but for me, it was really predictable. Like, you got the very end one stuck out with me because I like that one. It's the kind of humor I would have loved to thrown into a movie or whatever, especially one as climactic as this. But that big guy, I don't even know his friggin' name, Fire Demon or whatever, just finished stabbing Hell. I call her Hell, but I think it's Hella or something like that. I just call her Hell. Just finished knifing her into Asgard and destroying all of Asgard. Then she just finished getting knifed into Asgard, and Asgard just finished getting almost completely destroyed. And in the spaceship, it cuts to them escaping, and the rock guy is like, "Oh well, as long as the foundations stay intact, we can come back and rebuild and make Asgard a better place than what it was." Just as he started the line, I knew right away that it's gonna cut back and the whole place is gonna be obliterated. It was a joke I definitely saw coming. It was still pretty funny when it paid off, but just seeing that joke coming like a oncoming train, it's not as funny as it could have been. The first time we see Thor and he's hanging and he starts spinning, and the big guy that destroys Asgard in the end, but he's smaller at this point in the beginning of the film, and he's like, "This, yes, it's part of my evil plan or whatever." And as he's sort of monologuing, you're invested in it, like the camera wise with the music, you're really invested in it. And then all of a sudden, it sort of cuts to Thor, and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't really paying attention because I'm not really facing you because the whole thing, the chain he's on is spinning." And when that happened, I'm like, "Oh, okay, it's gonna," because I first laughed. I was like, "That was pretty funny." But then when it's gonna, I knew right away they're gonna try and milk it and do that again. And how they did it again, it just wasn't funny and sort of that. And it's sort of like it's those kind of humor jokes that were actually really noticeably. I knew it was gonna happen. Same thing happened with the gladiator fight, and it's like. Thor starts talking to the Hulk about doing that thing that calms him down that they did in the second Avengers movie. And as soon as he started saying that, I knew, I'm like, Hulk's just going to grab him and just destroy him. And what happens is literally just as he finishes saying that and he gets close enough, Hulk throws him around. And it was a funny joke. But I was expecting it. I was literally expecting it, and it sort of just ruined the joke for me, personally. And that was the first time seeing it. Usually it's not good when it's the first time you're seeing something and you can sort of already predict the jokes. But that could be me just because I'm a filmmaker. I don't know what other people's view of those type of jokes and all that. What was unexpected was I didn't clue in Marvel was actually going to copy what Thor did to Loki in the first Avengers movie. And then that's the beatdown I was talking about with Thor. I actually thought it was just going to be that punch from the Avengers. But I didn't think it was actually going to be the exact same movements as what that was really, really good and wasn't predictable. I felt, but I knew certain times it was going to cut back for a joke or something like that. And it's not a major problem with the movie, but it's just, I found that first time viewing. I've waited 4 years I don't know if I think I might have mentioned this in the before review, but like the biggest question on my mind in the Marvel Cinematic Universe was after the end of Thor 2 when Loki was in control of Asgard and something happened to Odin. That was such a good setup that I was just imagining the 4 years I had between 4-2 and 4-3. I was just imagining what they were going to do for the third one. I'm like, Loki's going to be an important part of it. He's going to be in control of Asgard and all that, and all that jazz. And did it pay off in 4-3? Nope, not at all. The payoff for what happened to Odin was entirely anticlimactic, and that really was the biggest disappointment with 4-3. Is that whole setup was just it was just sort of plot to get you to when the villain arrives, the major villain. Up until that point, it's just literally just used to get there. You have Thor discovering Loki very anticlimactically, and then very lamely. I mean, it was funny the way they did it, but it's just the setup was so serious. I felt in 4-2 that I really was hoping for a more dramatic conclusion for 4-3. Yeah, it was just then after discovering Loki, it's like Thor was like, "Oh, take me to see Odin," and then they go, and the whole finding of Odin is just a whole bunch of series of running gags. It's just like it's literally a whole bunch of throwaway gags, just like throwaway jokes. It's just you got him being put into a retirement home that's demolished, and he's like, "I swore I put him here," and it's all jokes. I'm like, all the seriousness I was expecting after a 4-year gap. And what doesn't help between the 4-year gap is you got 8 different Marvel movies and 5 seasons from 2 different TV shows that didn't touch or added anything to the questions that were left behind by 4-2. And with that considered, 4 years is sounds like an eternity to wait in movie time. But I will admit 4-3 is a lot better than the 4-year gap that they did for Pirates of the Caribbean 5. That was a bad movie, unfortunately. But anyways, yeah. So when you finally see the real Odin and his explanation for what Loki did and why Odin exiled himself it's just so unsatisfying to see on screen. It's like, what? That's it? My imagination was running wild with what could possibly be it, and it's something so simple and not really exciting or anything. It's just unsatisfying. Then to top it all off, in the short brief scene Anthony Hopkins actually has playing the real Odin in this movie, he just dies. Odin is like, "My time is short, but I have some really important information to vaguely touch upon before dying." But then he's
fairy dust.
which it was a kind of a nice scene with the Norway setting and all that, but it's just so much things plot wise that Odin could have really helped out on if he didn't decide to just be, "Oh, the world is gonna end, it's the prophecy, blah blah blah." But anyways, while we were on the subject of death, I can believe they decided to kill off the Warrior 3. I can believe it. What I can't believe is the way they decided to kill off the Warriors 3. It's ridiculous. They killed the first 2 in such an incredibly fast and anticlimactic way. The movie literally and figuratively just froze those characters out in the garbage. In fact, from the moment we first see one of them to the moment they actually die, I'm positive it was under a minute of screen time. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if it was under 30 seconds. Their introduction in the movie and the deaths feel like a blink and you'll miss it type moment. In fact, one of the characters, the actor kept switching back and forth between two actors between the first and second one. And I couldn't tell in For Free if the character was played by Josh Dallas or Zachary Levi. That's how fast and short their screen time was. And it's so unfortunate. Oh my gosh. The last of the Warriors Free that died was he literally had the only worthy death scene out of the Warriors Free. And even then, story-wise, the potential for the Warriors Free's deaths was felt wasted overall. The way the movie works, Thor doesn't even interact with any of them when they were alive. And after they're dead, it's never brought up. You could at least have had Thor asked Handel if they made it, since Handel watches everything. Then you could have had Handel break the news to Thor. Then have that whole weird scene with Rock Guy and Scissor Guy's still alive joke that ends the movie. Yeah, literally, the ending of the movie. It felt like, okay, after Avengers, I was like, okay, they were doing a joke sort of ending. Avengers, and then he cuts it before he says the line. And then Civil War, the ending felt a little abrupt and all that. But this movie, it really felt like the ending was unfinished. It was literally, Thor's like, okay, we're still alive. That's good. Rock Guy's still alive, and Crab Guy's still alive. And then Rock Guy's like, no, actually, Crab Guy is dead. I stepped on him on the bridge, and then I just felt bad, so I carried him around for the rest of the time. And I'm just like, did I just hear that in a Disney Marvel film? I was like, they literally had a character accidentally kill someone, and now he's carrying around his dead corpse. I'm like, wow. I was sort of just amazed by that. But then, a couple seconds later, he's still alive, and it's like, wow, they did that joke. And then I don't even remember if it cuts back to 4 and then it cuts the credits. But it just sort of ends there, and it's like, wow, that was a really good ending, guys. You could at least ended with them going to Norway or something. But then I realized this is a Marvel film. It's not over until the end credit thing rolls. So the first end credit scene was good, but it kind of felt like it was a better ending credit. Like, you could cut to them and then have that ship appear. But the thing is, that end credits post credit scene doesn't really mean anything to me because I don't recognize the ship. I have to rewatch Guardians and all that, but the ship I don't think is recognizable. It kind of reminds me of the ship that was the Hammer guy in Guardians. I don't know. Maybe it's Thanos. I don't know. It's one of those. It was so brief. It was like, okay, so the shocking reveal was it's a big ship. Wow, that was shocking. Yeah, you couldn't let us know who's driving that ship or what it is, or is this just for comic fans to know? Anyways, and then the last credit scene, as though it was funny, I felt it didn't make sense setup wise because it wasn't really established throughout the movie that there was a revolution taking place for that joke to work, but I guess it was kind of funny. But yeah, so with the Warriors Freeze deaths, they are like Thor's best friends, and I'm not sad that the characters are dead. I'm sad that their deaths have no impact on Thor or any other character. The only people in the movie that cared about them were the audience, and that's uh-oh. And time to bring up what I thought was the worst part of Thor Free. Lady Sif is nowhere to be seen or mentioned. Do I need to say more? She's not in the film. Lady Sif is nowhere to be seen or heard. It's the realization when the credits roll. I'm like, oh, she hasn't appeared yet. And then the post-credit scenes go by, and I'm like, oh, she still hasn't appeared yet. That was the realization. I was like, that episode in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. when Lady Sif appearing, well, it turns out that whole part was complete TV filler. and doesn't affect anything on the movie side of things. Marvel, that was the last straw. I had it when it comes to your fucking Marvel Cinematic Universe TV shows that aren't produced by Netflix. I'm so pissed. I now have hope you will never release Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 3 and onwards on Blu-ray or DVD in North America, because I've been defending all your shows and getting them as they came out and recommending it to family and friends and even sitting down and watching with them the seasons and all that. This is how you repay us, with tie-ins and crossovers that don't mean anything. That's not even to mention that season 3 of Agents should have been released on Blu-ray plus DVD in North America 2 years ago. I've been counting. 2 years ago it should have been released on Blu-ray or at least DVD in North America, but no. You're like, Marvel's like, no, don't watch this old shows. They're out of date. Just watch our new stuff. Watch Runaways, Gifted, or what other Marvel shows been pushing lately? Oh, Inhumans. Oh, I kind of forgot about that little bag of shit. Granted, I haven't actually seen the episodes, but I can't watch those episodes until I'm caught up on your rest of your TV show timeline. So, your move, Marvel. Are you going to release it or not? Anyways, last time I checked, Marvel is owned by Disney. And the only thing Disney has an excuse for not releasing on Blu-ray and DVD is Song of the South. And even then, that movie should be eventually released. But anyways, that's for another video. Sorry about the rant. Back to Thor Ragnarok. The movie had a lot of great action scenes and moments. The CGI and special effects are really pretty to look at, and it's pleasing to the eyes. There is a lot of cool and weird moments as well, like the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory music. Like, it's sort of a reference, but it's just it's done pretty well and all that. It just adds to the humor and the absurdity of the whole situation in space and this whole space opera. It's like, but then again, you got scenes where the comedy switches over and shows the systematic destruction of an entire people and their way of life. Then returns back to the fun adventures of Thor, Loki, and Hulk. I'm not kidding. I noticed when watching the movie that there were times where I noticed the background for several moments were changed from the original trailer. Specifically when Hel breaks Thor's hammer. The location in the original trailer was a city alleyway, and in the movie, it actually takes place on a beautiful seaside cliff in Norway. So, I'm very intrigued by this decision. So I'm glad studios are playing around with trailer footage to purposely mislead audience members. I kind of like that, because when you watch it, it's like, you're not expecting that scene, because you're like, it has to take place in an alleyway before that hammer breaks. So when she shows up in Norway, you're like, oh, I guess she doesn't break the hammer here. But then she breaks the hammer there, and it's like, holy. Maybe the whole story changed. Maybe there's a whole Justice League type behind the scenes that's happening, but we don't know about it because Marvel's so good at keeping it a secret. Just a thought. Anyways, they used the Immigrant Song, which was in the original trailer. The Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin is in the actual Thor Ragnarok movie. And it's used in such a really cool fight scene. And I really love that scene, that in general, just the fighting and choreography and special effects, really cool, really well done. And actually, it kind of sort of reminded me, I was waiting for the credits to start playing, just like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, where they play the song and then have the opening credits. I was expecting it to start into that, but the credits never really rolled, and then there's just the title. So I'm actually kind of glad they didn't do credits, but that could very easily have been an opening credit montage with that fight. Yeah, so it's really cool that they used that song in the movie, but then they ruined it. And you're like, how do they ruin using such an awesome song? Well, they used it again for the final action scene. Like, it's literally, it's building up to the final action scene, all out, all the cards are on the table and all that, and they reuse the song that was used in the first part to just show how overpowered Thor is and how good he is at handling the situation. So I hate it when movie reuses the same song without it being crucial or part of the plot or like continuity or something. Like if it was a time travel movie and it signifies a part of the timeline by going back to that moment, cueing that moment, that makes sense. That's part of the plot and all that. I like it when songs are reused in that style. But if you just reuse the movie song to make it better just for no particular reason, but just because, hey, we already have the rights to the song, let's use it again, I really dislike that. If they really wanted a Led Zeppelin song for the final fight, there's a whole bunch of songs they could have used by them that would have worked a lot better than just using Immigrant Song again. Like, Communication Breakdown comes to mind, Achilles' Last Stand, and even Good Times, Bad Times would have actually worked really well with the film because of the tone of it going really good, really funny to really dramatic serious. So Good Times, Bad Times. So that could have actually kind of worked for the final. Or you could have just chose a new song altogether, a new rock song that most people are not familiar with or something. But no. Hell, you could have used the bridge section onwards from the song Walk by the Foo Fighters. That would have helped bring the trilogy for Thor back around because that was the song used multiple times throughout the first Thor movie. Plus, those lyrics still work so well with Thor's character and situation. That would have been cool as a callback to the first movie, but as we've seen early on in the film, they don't really care about anything they set up in the first two movies with characters getting thrown around into the garbage. Anyways, the soundtrack score was off the chart. It was distinctively distinct, and I loved it. It reminded me of an 80s sci-fi type Tron-like soundtrack, and it brought to my attention just how crazy the sci-fi section of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is in movie form. It's only about 30 years ago when things like Star Wars, Tron, The Last Starfighter, and Flash Gordon movies type came out. And now because of movies like Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor Ragnarok, the idea of crazy fun sci-fi adventure is now a serious idea for a movie. The soundtrack for this movie just made me think about that and how far we come with sci-fi and CGI in general and all that. So that's pretty cool for a soundtrack to make it seem that much more deeper of a movie while still being recognizable and all that. I felt it might have been a little bit too much 80s at a couple points. Like at one point in when Thor was in Hulk's room, I actually thought the song I Ran So Far Away was about to play by Flock of Seagulls because it sounded like that beginning. This is the first time since the first Avengers movie that I want to buy the complete soundtrack for a MCU film. End credit sequence with the design of it, once again, really, really good, Marvel. Anyways, I want to know what you thought of Thor Ragnarok. Was it everything you ever hoped it to be? Let me know in the comments below. Did you think the tone was all over the place, or did you just think it was a crazy fun movie, eh? Thank you very much for watching. I want you to have a nice day or night or whatever time you watch this. Have a nice whatever. Thanks again for watching, and check out my other stuff if you want. In the meanwhile, I'm Mitchell Ryan Darcy, and I just watched Thor Ragnarok. Yeah, just to let you know, that's ketchup. I wasn't gonna marker my face, so I was like, oh, ketchup, just flat it on, and it'll make it look like for Ragnarok.